Hello?
Hello, everyone. We're not quite sure where admin is, but we're seeing the screen from his perspective. So when you first get into Minecraft, there is this amazing rocket that is how we arrived on the red planet. You can see this beautiful sedimentary rock in the background, the chasms that were all created uh, from words are so hard sometimes. Chasms that were created as water flowed at some point in the Martian past. We worked really hard to create you someplace that you could go play on another world. And we're really hoping that you will join us. There should be a QR code up on screen. Yes? Thumbs up, QR code on screen. So that is a link to the form that you can fill out that will get you added and whitelisted, allowing you to join our Minecraft server. Right now, I know that Ms. Brickhinton is setting her computer up. Oh man, we're still having Nightbot issues. Let me go ahead and see what I can do to get that fixed in Nightbot. Sometimes technology is not your friend. So the other thing that I wanted to check while we're here, in addition to Marscraft, is how we're doing on the fundraiser. Can we switch over to the fund just when I can barely hear it at least. Testing, 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 testing.
The levels are going up fine.
Did you transition scenes?
Yeah. No, it's
Can
fine on the transitioned part.
Oh, you can hear. Okay. Okay. I was very confused. So the audio left and came back, and we did not know the audio had come back. Thank you all so much for your patience. The first session is always the hardest.
I don't know why my headphones are.
So, we're having some technological difficulties in here. Luckily, our next session is entirely in this room, which will give us a chance to figure out what's going on and get all of our technology working, so we don't need to worry about that. So, what I was saying is, one of our goals this weekend is we are trying to do some fundraising, and our main goal, though, is to just celebrate science. All right, so we're trying to figure out some technical difficulties in the background. I'm
She is through that mic, and he is through Discord.
So I'm sorry for the silence as I look around trying to figure out what's going on. So, in just 3 minutes, we're going to be back with the folks who helped us develop Ticket to Ride. Um, I'm going to mute my mic on my end manually so that Allie doesn't need to do anything. We will be right back. it's working.
Okay.
There's a reason this cup is here.
Yes. We. Oh. Please do not turn this into a drinking game. That will get very dangerous.
Someone asked me to make icons of that a while ago.
It's true.
All right. Are we live?
You are live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Session 2, Hour 2 of Hangout, a-Thon 23, Volume 2. Second Chances, Space is Hard. We are here on both YouTube and Twitch, and I'm realizing I don't have the new Twitch chat up. I will fix that in just a moment. First, I want to introduce the people who are joining me this hour, and I also need to give a shout out to our Instro, who is not here right now. He sat at my dining room table working on this game for hours, and we wouldn't be here without him. So the game we have to introduce is Ticket to Orbit.
Working title.
Working title. Kitten, while I fix the YouTube chat, can you introduce people to how our original, where we started basically on my dining room table? And then we're going to go to Noel, who did so much better than my dining room table.
Well, the first thing was, do not let a whiteboard marker get stored with whiteboard marker all over it, because we could not get the whiteboard marker off of it without some industrial strength chemistry.
So we're going to start this by shaming Pamela. That's going to be an ongoing theme for the weekend.
I did not name names. It could have been my whiteboard I was talking about.
You called yourself out there.
Yeah.
My name, I usually try to protect the guilty. But we started by drawing a list. We pulled the list of planetaries and bodies and little things that you might want to go to in space, and we just started placing them randomly on this whiteboard, trying to make some semblance of where they might be in the solar system and what it might take to get to them. Pamela has piles and piles of different things to utilize, and one of the things we utilized was pipe cleaners, little wood bits, little bits of foam, and we were tracing out the paths and trying to make, if you've ever played Ticket to Ride, you know that between the cities there's a count of spots that you need to fill in with your trains to get to the next city and claim that route and claim your points. And we were trying to balance everything out. And one of the most impressive thing about good board game design is there's usually a mathematical function. There's usually a very specific idea of balance to make sure that the game is not too easy or too hard. And when we ran all the numbers, we did all the counts, Ticket to Ride is a very well-balanced game. At least the base game is. And so we started drawing on this whiteboard with marker all of the places that we can go, putting down dashes in different colored whiteboard marker, and then we pulled out Pamela's copy of Ticket to Ride and put the trains on the board and played it like a game of Ticket to Ride. We really quickly found out that some of the routes that we planned to make very long or cost you extra train cars were too expensive. So we've been working on trying to balance out the length of paths compared to the length of the length of the paths compared to the length of the cars, the amount of cars you start with. With the game we're working on, we're calling them stages. And instead of engines, we're calling them boosters. And so the wild cards are boosters. We have these bright, colorful graphics that our friend Noel here has been very, very hectically working on and doing an amazing job. I've got bits and pieces at home that I've cut out on my silhouette cutter, that little rocket tokens, because the idea was we're trying two things. We're trying to make a module that'll fit in with the tabletop simulator available on Steam. And we're also working to try and make a physical version we could put on the table and throw pieces around. Because, yeah, we live very often in the digital world, but sometimes it's great to get out of the digital world and get in front of a table and drink soda, eat snacks, and curse at each other face to face when you take someone's route that they were working so carefully to get.
I may have done some of that cursing.
Expletive.
Yes. Yes.
But we had to start. And I should probably grab one of the cards. I'm going to grab one of the cards real quick.
Yeah. So Noel has pulled up some of the amazing graphics that he's put together, because
I've been shamelessly sort of sharing them in our planning channel, just sort of as they come out, because I like attention.
No,
But-
you want to share your beauty in a world that needs more beauty.
Sure. We'll go with that. Yeah. So I'm just sort of trying to pull them off of Discord as the Wi-Fi allows me to.
We are at the furthest point in the basement you can be from the Wi-Fi router.
And we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. And put this in front of the camera. Look at those fleets of starships. We're using starships. And I had the idea of using... well, because we have so
Show it to the camera. Show it to the camera.
so few destinations that I thought maybe we should use the stations like the European map. So we have these really tiny lunar gateway stations that are with comic realism scaled to the starships to be much smaller. What else do we have? Did some last minute Photoshop painting for these ship cards. Can we get some focus, please? There we go. Focus. But yeah, that's all I can extract from the Discord at this moment.
Sadness. Wi-Fi sadness. And folks are pointing out, yeah, so Psyche was one of the objects. So we have Psyche, Chiron, Chirilko, all the normal planets, Pluto
I
and
took the ones
Chiron,
with the
Flavor text.
Sedna, Eris, rather. So we've been having a good time, and I think Kitten, in a way, had the best time of all, because she was tasked with coming up with the routes and went for humor more than points. So go ahead and explain.
So we started with, we had these little half-size index cards, and we started writing our destinations on them, where you're going from, where you're going to, and the point values. And if you've never questioned what the point values on your Ticket to Ride routes are, it's typically just the number of segments on the shortest route between the two cities. So I took the same aspect of scoring with that. And then I started writing flavor text on them. So for example, this 13-point route I have in my hand, it is the Moon Titan to the Moon Triton. The flavor text reads, "No, there's no R in my name," to Triton. What? Nah, that guy is in a totally different orbit than me. And then we have the L5 and the L4 Trojans, the two Trojan asteroid swarms around, trailing and leading Jupiter in its orbit. And the L5 Trojans are, "Wee, free gravity well." And the L4 Trojans, "Yeah, but I'm still beating you." We have 67 PCG. "Why do people keep mixing me up with chimichurri sauce?" To Eros, "Look, you don't even want to know what they get me confused with." And then we have Mercury to Sedna. "Mercury, I used to have a crust, but you try standing next to a blast furnace." To Sedna, "Why do you think I'm out here? It's so cold." We have Ceres to Pluto. They knew about me first, is what Ceres says to Pluto. Yeah, but I was a planet longer. But so not only trying to just make the routes and make the point values for them, but kind of give it a little bit of flavor text that also imparts a little bit of the history of the destinations and some of the fun behind it, you know?
And one of the things that I love about doing this is while there's a whole lot of not exactly scientific that went into the making of the game, we have the ability to leverage this to teach science. So for instance, if there's a point in time where all the objects are where they are in their orbits on our board game, I don't know when that point in time is. It's certainly not now. But we can also include information on, well, what does the solar system look like on a specific date and put that into the game. We can use it to explain how you can either have the game to scale for the size that we draw the planets or the size that we draw the orbits, but not both. And one of the amazing things this is going to give us a chance to promote is Noel did this amazing poster a few years ago that I used to have hanging up in an office I used to have. So it's not hanging up anymore because I don't have the office. He did a poster of the first, what was it, like 100 objects in the solar system or something?
All of the objects larger than 200 kilometers radius, which is a lot. And then I learned that my favorite thing when I did that I learned was that Vesta is bigger than Enceladus, yet is not a perfect sphere. Yet Enceladus is very spherical.
This is because Vesta took it to its south pole.
Yes.
Vesta, an asteroid in the asteroid belt, asteroids lie in other places, at some point had a tremendous impact that caused the waistline of the asteroid to grow wrinkle ridges. And really, same Vesta, I just grew mine naturally. And there's this almighty crater in that South Pole, and it's not that the South Pole got hit, it's that the entire rotational axis of the asteroid was changed by this impact. So Vesta was once a sphere, but it turns out spheres can get rather deformed if they're not big enough to gravitationally put themselves back in place.
Yeah. But yeah, so I took I was asked to take some of the planets off, and I thought might as well improve them a little. So I touched them up in Photoshop, gave them some shading, and yeah, they turned out really well. From a distance, they look like telescope images, but if you zoom in, then you can tell they're
Pixels,
they're
JPEG artifacting.
they're pretty stylized. But yeah.
So, trivia. Pamela suggested that topped a sartorialist, and they made it for her and put it on sale in their shop. This is entirely true. I'm not sure who's currently messaging as CosmoQuest, but they have the facts straight, and I appreciate it. So, the shirt that I'm wearing, it says Dare Mighty Things, which is kind of our theme here at CosmoQuest. NASA for a long time said failure is not an option, but you can't do incremental design unless you expect to fail along the way. And we're going to fail along the way. Our last fundraiser kind of counts. We don't talk about that, but we tried something new and it didn't work. So we're going to keep daring mighty things. Beth is the one who's tweeting. She's correct. Not tweeting, messaging. This shirt is modeled after Perseverance rover's parachute. And in some code, I don't remember what is, it actually says Dare Mighty Things in the pattern of the orange and the white. So yeah, they made them awesome. All right, so you were saying.
What was I saying?
You're talking about the graphics and the game board that you've been designing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have an image of it on the tablet right
Yeah,
there that
go
none of
show
our
that
audience can
zoomed
see
in.
This is
right.
a yeah. It was this is a in progress screenshot of the Blender file.
Jack, you're away from the
Blender file.
Just be loud.
mic. Just be loud.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been assembling the board in Blender. This is a close up. You can see I've got Saturn there. Not sure what else to say about it. It's there.
You can see the routes. We did take a page out of Ticket to Ride's book, because if you look at Ticket to Ride's color coding, they made it accessible. So there's not just the color, but there's also a symbol on every card, so that if you can't see the color, and I know a bunch of those people in my life, you can look at the symbol and match the symbols on the routes.
I can't focus on them, but I decided to go with the symbols of planets on these.
That's awesome.
But they might be more visible on the cards. That's not the right button. Because on the corner of the cards, I have the symbol as well.
Talk about the rockets you used.
Oh yeah. So I picked 9 different space capsules. One of them is a cargo ship. We got the yellow one is the ATV, the ESA's ATV. We've got Starliner in orange. We got Shenzhou in blue, and Orion with its booster, with its ICPS as the taking the place of the locomotive as the wild card. And not pictured here are the other ships, like got Starship and Dragon and Soyuz, and yeah. Wish I could show more of them, but maybe we'll see more of them when we get to play it.
Yeah, that's the goal. And what I really love about this is our community is one that really takes to heart the idea that we need to be creating content that works if you're colorblind. When we can, we create content that works with screen readers, that is disability friendly. And it's not that there is we need to do that. It's just one of those things that our community actively thinks to do. And that's part of the reason I love working with this group of humans so much.
And I only knew to do it because the original Ticket to Ride does that.
Yeah. So, well, I've seen it happen so much. And the conversation came up multiple times while we were working on designing things. Now, one of the other things that I think led Noel to not liking me so much while trying to figure out how to lay things out on the board is as you get between different points in the solar system, it takes different amounts of energy depending on the route you take. This means that... Go ahead, see if you can...
It's giving me fail to load the image, even though it's showing it to me right now.
So...
It's gone.
we had Holman transfer orbits that would allow people to go at the lowest energy route possible from, say, Earth to Mars. And we also had the barrel straight through the solar system route. And, I mean, in reality, everything's moving. The physics doesn't quite work out the way the board does.
It's Delta V budgets.
It's Delta V budgets. So, the routes that are shortest actually required Noel to figure out how to fit the most trains.
Sort of.
And so it's basically a block in some places.
Yeah, some of them, they have to go in diagonally and be slightly beside each other to bunch them in. Because
We may not have shortened up all the routes
No.
So,
Some of them got really stretched out too.
yeah, we will be looking at our route counts as we play test.
Yeah. Now, eventually this will get released. Somehow it may just be a Google Drive file where you can go download things.
Or a tabletop simulator mod.
Yeah,
Yep.
or a tabletop simulator mod. I love your comment on the diagonal. He writes, diagonally is good. Excellent.
I detect bias.
He does definitely have a specific slant to his opinion, I'm sure, but
I love this community for many reasons, and puns may be one. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Now, we also did some interesting things with double routes. Do you want to explain that? And how we didn't land on gas giants.
well, we didn't land on gas giants because there's nothing to land on.
True.
However, the moons around gas giants often have things like water, which is a primary component of fuel
Or a surface.
and a surface. So, going to a gas giant, kind of pointless. Going to one of the moons of a gas giant, hey, we can work with that.
Also, the Delta V budget of getting into a gas giant would be enormous.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. And I'm trying to remember what the thing about the double routes was.
So there were a bunch of places where, for instance, if you went to Saturn, you didn't actually land on Saturn. You had to go to either Titan or Enceladus. And there are two ways to get from Titan to Enceladus and from Enceladus to Titan. So you can pick which side of Saturn you go around. So there's a circular path where one side of the circle is a route and the other side of the circle is a route, which is a different way of drawing it from what you normally see on Ticket to Ride. Again, this is a parody, but sometimes history rhymes rather than repeats.
Well, there's also the idea of when you look at any good game, all games have essential components that are universal. You know, whether it be resource gathering in the form of Monopoly has money, Game of Life has the little people that you stick in and money. It has you look at Settlers of Catan. You have your wheats and your wood and your sheep. You look
3
at
wheat for 1 sheep.
Of course.
I don't have any of that. Sorry.
but there are essential core components to games when you're designing that are repeatable. Resource gathering, routes to take, how you move across the board, and what your game tokens are. And so the idea of us perioding Ticket to Ride isn't so much as perioding, but kind of saying, this works, this works, this works. These are kind of the generic aspects of it. You gather your resources in the way of your colored train cars to match to the resources requirements on the board. And then you have your path and your destination. And think about Candyland. You gathered your little card to move your token, and whatever color you chose matched the color, and you can move to one of those colors. Right? History doesn't so much as repeat as so much as rhyme, and games don't so much as repeat as they do rhyme. And while the first version is going to look and play a lot like Ticket to Ride, when I walk Malachi in the morning and I have nothing to do but hold his leash and watch him sniff everything that he needs to sniff in the morning, because the morning is the longest walk we take, my mind just percolates. And some of the things I've been thinking about is, well, what if we give a multiplier to the route card based on whether you crew that card or not? Mm-hmm. Right? So if you complete the route and you had a crew capsule, another resource that we can add to the random draw, you get maybe double the route points. What if you need a special type of booster to get to a different place? What if the routes, instead of just requiring like Ticket to Ride, they require individual trains, the little train cards, maybe an engine, maybe not. But what if you absolutely had to have a booster? And maybe there's a universal booster that acts like the wild card, but then there's maybe a potential of a booster with booster cards in with the actual colored resource cards.
What if?
What if?
What if?
And there will be a lot of dead ends when you're designing a game or working on something like that will start exactly like that. What if? Wait, never mind. But the ideas of taking elements that have been put together and work, and now how do you take those elements, make it your own? And that's with any kind of storytelling. There's only four basic plots in the world: man versus man, man versus machine, man versus wild, man versus nature, man versus self. Right? That's it. That's the extent of all storytelling. But what do you bring to it that's yours? Yeah. What do you bring to it that's your contribution to it? Each of those stories are the same base elements at its core, but we each get to tell them in a different way. So while things may be familiar, they are not the same.
But we want something that plays so that we can then
right.
We can iterate it.
Right. So change up the resources, change up the way the routes work, change up.
What if time was a resource?
What if time was a resource?
Some of those Delta V budgets are low, but the time travel of time is huge. What if you need more space for food because you have to travel longer?
That becomes a different game.
Right.
And we can develop that one next because we do iterative design here.
Exactly.
Now, we've been using a lot of words that I don't think we've been defining. So we've been saying Delta V a lot. So what is Delta V? Do you want to explain?
Delta V is...
She's just drawing the triangle. Delta V.
Delta V, it's change in velocity. So for a rocket, for a spacecraft to go from one place to another, it has to change orbits at several different times, and those orbital changes have a required change in velocity that every spacecraft needing to do that needs to acquire, and depending on the mass of the spacecraft, that requires more fuel. So it isn't so much energy, but it's like energy for the amount of mass you have. It's acceleration. It's tied into, it's just like the acceleration due to gravity is the same regardless of how massive you are, regardless of how big the rocket is. The Delta V is the same. To get from the ground to orbit, Starship needs the same Delta V as Electron. So
and
at least.
And over on YouTube, our moderator is making a really great point. Velocity is not the same thing as speed. Velocity involves direction as rate of motion. So you can maintain a constant speed, but because you're fighting against other forces, you're actually changing your direction or all sorts of other things, even though your speed might stay the same.
Take circular orbits, for example. Every object in a stable circular orbit is not changing speed, but it is accelerating under gravity. Mm-hmm. But instead of changing speed, it is constantly changing direction.
So if you want your rocket to not constantly change direction, you have to fire your rockets to have a Delta V. Now, at the same time, just like that planet's gravity is totally happy to keep you going in that orbit for basically forever, you can use gravitational assists where I have to set my stuff down to talk with my hands. So can I have Bennu, please?
F. Bennu.
F it.
Yes, F Bennu. So imagine that Bennu were much more massive, because Bennu is not massive. You would not use Bennu for a gravitational assist. And you have Rocket Light Puck. As Rocket Light Puck creeps up in orbit on Bennu. Bennu is moving through space. And for the entire amount of time that Rocket Light Puck is approaching Bennu, it's getting accelerated. It's getting a delta V from Bennu's gravity. And the amount of time that it spends moving away is much less. So because you're spending all this time trailing, catching up, there's this long period of being accelerated by little Bennu. Shorter period of being slowed down. And the sum of that is the gravity of Bennu gets used to accelerate the now apparently red, now apparently green, and now blue, now yellow. I just want you to turn off. You're not going to turn off, are you?
You hold it.
It's a neutrino. It's changing flavor.
Yeah.
It was redshifting.
It's true.
It was accelerating, so it would be redshifting.
We make lots of nerdy jokes around here. And the reason we curse at Bennu is our community made millions of marks of where in images rocks were located, boulders were aligned, craters were found. We have 2 different sessions focused in on Bennu and celebrating our accomplishments that are coming up on Sunday. And we're going to have some of our volunteers joining us and talking about their experience, as well as one of our chief rock herders, Annie Wilson, will be on stream. So that 92 days of marking millions and millions and millions of rocks, locations, and images, we now say F Bennu. It's just required.
We still love the little rock.
Yeah.
Little pile of rocks.
Yep.
But F. Bennu.
Apparently full of water and carbon.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's really kind of cool. So we're creating this scientific game. We're hoping that we're going to get it out into more hands. We're hoping to leverage it to get your scale images of all these solar system objects out to more and more people.
They're not scale on the board.
No.
You would not be able to see most of the things on the board if they were to scale.
And so this is the thing. There is a time and place to do things scientifically accurately. There is a time and place to do things to generate joy. And leverage that to say, yeah, this may not be completely right and true and accurate, but it's fun.
And in engineering, we use the 3 letters NTS in the title block to denote that.
Not to scale. Not to scale.
And even if it's just to expose the concept that there are more things than just Pluto.
Yeah.
Because our board along the top, it's not just Pluto. There's like Haumea, Eris, and Senda as well.
Yeah.
So if, let's say, someone who likes space but hasn't really been introduced to this yet sees this board, they will see, what are all these other things here?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And this is where hopefully they'll eventually learn that, like, Haumea is this weird, flattened, rotating cigar of an object. Eris has more mass than Pluto.
They all have moons.
Yeah.
Most of them have moons.
That we know of.
Yeah.
And we're learning every day that there's more small stuff out in the solar system that we didn't know about. November 1st, Lucy, the mission Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, well, she's on her way out on increasing orbits that will eventually take her to that L4 and L5, leading and trailing Trojan swarm of asteroids near Jupiter. Currently, it's on a orbit that takes it out through the asteroid belt. And Lucy went past a rock called Dickash. And it turned out that that rock had a moon. We didn't know that. So Dinky, as on the diagonal, is correctly pointing out it has been nicknamed because that is something people can say easier. Dinky is about 700 meters across, so a bit bigger than Bennu. And the moon is about 220 meters across, so about half the size of Bennu. And these two rocks are actual solid objects as near as we can tell. Not like Bennu, which is a rubble pile, the consistency of a ball pit. and so these are worlds with craters and geophysical things we can study once we've had a chance to stop just being amazed at what's going on. I like Mythtown has named Dinky's moon Skidamarink Dinkadink. There's a tradition of nicknaming things terrible nicknames. Didymus, an asteroid that had a moon, we decided the moon needed to be Diddy Moon. It has an actual name. No one remembers the actual name. Dimorphos. You remember the actual name?
Yes.
You're doing much better than I am.
Churimov Gerasmenko.
All right.
Sorry.
I stand surrounded by people who are better at remembering proper nouns than I am.
That's not me.
So yeah, Chami-chan has it right. Bennu does not spark joy, but science does.
I was going to say, the science coming back from it sparks joy.
Yeah.
The amount of material that we got back.
Yeah.
The fact that they had to pause while opening that thing to go...
Spilling out of the sides of the container.
Yeah. It was amazing.
It's like, stop. We gotta be very careful with this.
And when they did that, they were making sure to analyze it to make sure that it wasn't from the landing.
Yeah.
Because that was the critical piece. Is this something we want to keep, or is this something we take back to the desert?
We don't care about the Earth's regolith.
And so the game we're designing allows you to imagine exploring our solar system one route at a time, where the resource you have to conserve is how many rockets you spend to get from one place to another. We are going to have another session tomorrow with Fraser Kane, Annie, Allie, other team members are going to be on it as well, where we're looking at how video games allow us to explore this galaxy that we don't yet at all have the ability to get beyond our solar system and explore. Exploration is something that many of us are driven to, whether it be exploring down the rabbit hole of information, exploring down the passageways of video games and the pathways between solar systems. We're dreamers. And from Ticket to Orbit to everything else, over the next 32 hours, we're going to bring it to you bit by bit. Now, we have 5 more minutes left in this session before we head on over to what will be hopefully a less technologically challenged. I'm going to not make any recommendations this time on what to do. Tour of what's going on over in Minecraft. So don't go away, but what questions do you have right now? So Mythtown's commenting that he did a lot of exploring in Starfield. I've heard that game is really good, and I looked at its price tag, and it made me really sad.
It's really pretty looking.
I'm being told it's really pretty. Allie says it's really...
I haven't played it, but my wife has been playing it, and I've been watching her, and it just looks very pretty. It is, if you're a video game person, it's a very Bethesda game. And if you play a lot of video games, you know what I'm talking about.
We love Bethesda.
I mean, I know some people do and some people don't. So it's like if you love Bethesda games, it's great. But it's just also it's very pretty. It's very fun. I don't know. I'm looking forward to playing it when I get out of my Mass Effect rut.
The good thing about it is if you expect a Bethesda game, you are not disappointed. You are generally amused, but not disappointed.
Exactly.
The people who don't know Bethesda well will play a Bethesda game for the first time and be angry.
Mm-hmm.
But us fans who've played Bethesda games for decades, we're just like, yeah, Bethesda being Bethesda, yeah, great. My companion is halfway stuck in the ground and can't move, but
But we're having a great time.
And the stories are usually really pretty good.
Yes.
This is why I like City Skylines.
I did play Animal Crossing. I was one of those people.
I have logged over 800 hours in Animal Crossing, and I hate that Nintendo tells me these things.
I hate that they haven't updated more.
I'm with Kerbal on that comment. I like them, but they need to finish that game.
All right. So what questions do you all have? If you were designing your own ticket to orbit, what would you want to see? These are the things we want to know, and we have 23 hours of streaming time and awake time before Ticket to Orbit gets debuted. So get your ideas in, and I can't quite see what our donation total is.
It is 1,217. It's still what it was an hour ago.
All right.
Give us your money.
Give us your money. Science ain't cheap.
If those were meters, how big of a spaceship? What spaceship is around that size?
1,000 meters?
1,200.
Nothing's that big.
It's a little bigger than a Star Destroyer.
Oh, yeah. You're thinking starships.
Yeah. Or would that be
bigger than a Star Destroyer?
I was gonna say that might be more of a
What's 30 kilometers long? That's maybe 2 Super Star Destroyers?
something like
How
that.
big's the Battlestar and Battlestar Galactica?
Oh, that's a good question.
It depends on which class.
Yeah.
It's a
Galactic
Battlestar.
is a
There's only
smaller
one
ship than
Battlestar.
the other Battlestars.
Battlestar is a class of ship.
But everyone is unique.
Well, no, because there's like newer ones that they encounter, and I'm thinking of the reboot. And
Yeah. The Poseidon was bigger.
Pegasus.
Pegasus. That was a
Right
newer
first
one.
letter. Always the right first letter.
Sorry, apparently Battlestar Galactica is burned. And
So we need to build 2 Super Star Destroyers. People.
Okay, we can do this. Mythtown writes, there was a spot in the game where someone accused you of being someone they're looking for, and you have a chat option to say, no, it's you. And it just goes back and forth for a bit until he gets confused. I hate to laugh at it.
Okay.
Oh. All right. So we are about to end this segment 2, hour 2 of CosmoQuest's Hangout-a-Thon 2023. We're working to try and raise $30,000 for science. We know that a lot of people are struggling, but if you have some extra to give, think about giving. It's how we keep doing everything we do and making it available entirely for free, which is really what we want to do. Apparently 1,445 meters is... So we're trying to make basically 20 Battlestars worth of dollars, I guess. Trying to figure this stuff out.
We need to get our units sorted out.
Right.
We,
So,
Cow.
us Americans will measure in anything but metric.
yeah, it's true. All right, so we are going to go over to an update in Minecraft, and if you want to join our Minecraft server, there is a form to fill out to get whitelisted, and Kitten or someone else in our community will help you get lined up shortly. So we're switching over in.
We're switched over.
All right. Okay.
Can we get a mod on those 2 messages?
Oh,
Twitch.
Wasnosta on Twitch.
got a special boy.
Yeah.
We got a special boy.
All right. All right. If you go straight up with the mouse, straight up is the direction to that monitor.
I'm on the monitor. I just couldn't get it to click on the sword.
Mm.
Yeah, see my problem?
Yeah. They won't even register the click.
Yeah. I didn't know my name was on that to host that panel. Which one? This one?
The one that I can.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
No.
But I think
Until
she-
like it's like that's not right.
No, that's the sound of walking. We don't have their audio. Can you click? Hi, everyone. Sorry for the chaos. We're having problems getting audio in from Discord, but we also just sort of threw at someone, can you please stream in Minecraft? During the next break, we will have a guided tour by Keeper of Maps, who has good quality audio. So you're getting a good chance to see our world, see the parachute next to the rocket, and this is what we are building as a group. We're really grateful for everyone in our team out there helping to make everything a reality. And I am going to work on setup while the wonderful people who are in Minecraft keep exploring the world. Okay, so that's your view on the diagonal. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, everyone. I am going to switch us over to the next stream. There will be a break while we save and start things up over on YouTube for the next hour. If someone can please drop in the correct link, I would really appreciate it. So we will be right back, everyone. Stay tuned.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well. I'm just setting up
Okay.
the stream.
Okay.
The stream. Hoping I didn't screw up YouTube because for the first time ever we're going out on both YouTube and Twitch. Hello, Beth. How are things going?
Good.
Hi, Beth. I'm Tilina.
Let me put you in my ears and not my speakers. Hello, Talina.